I make adventure videos too, so
Oh,
that's
cool.
part of the reason I have camera equipment.
Well,
so.
what do you mean by adventure videos? Like what?
Like I like hiking and stuff.
Yeah.
So like I go out and like go into the wilderness, and I like to bushwhack and.
That's fun.
Yeah, exactly.
One time, I only got
You like to hike
lost
then?
one time bushwhacking, but you know,
And then
otherwise
never again, right?
Yeah. Only lost overnight, I should say, one time. But
Overnight?
Yeah. It was more fun than I thought it would be, but I was pretty done by the end of it. You know, I was ready to get back. Figured it out.
Cool. Where at?
This was in Colorado. Yeah, when I was visiting my sister who lived over there at the time.
It's supposed to be beautiful there.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah?
For sure.
What part of Colorado?
Kind of by the Denver area, but we drove a good bit. I don't know where we were.
Up in the mountains?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I want to go to like Red Rock Amphitheater.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I got somebody got the idea in my head for Lindsay Sterling. I don't know if you're familiar with her. She's like a violinist.
Wait, I do. Yeah, I know exactly. Like Song of the Caged Bird and stuff like that.
Maybe. You want to see? Maybe you know better than I do.
I know one song by her. You know, just enough to pretend I know what's going on.
Awesome. Cool. So, is there something like a belief that you have that you'd want to talk about?
Oh, sheesh. I should have been thinking about this, you know, in the whole preamble.
No, that's okay. That's right. Take your time. If you can't think of anything, we have a quantum claim generator, as he calls it, and they're like a list of words, and you can like talk about the word, like think of a belief around the word. If you don't like the word, you can just toss it back in if you'd rather do that.
I could start with one, you know.
Okay.
I mean, kind of summation is that I just think life is really dope, and then
life is very what?
Is really cool, you know.
Life
really,
is very cool. Dope.
Yeah,
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and then I've been realizing more and more that there's a lot that you could take advantage of, and then just make it worthwhile. But I don't know. That one's a little. I don't know how to get into that one too much. Like a lot of my beliefs, I'm realizing that like there's a lot of stuff out there. Like in terms of politics and stuff, you know, information is too hard to get that's good, and I'm too dumb to understand like bigger picture stuff, where unless I really invest in research, it's really tricky to, you know, hold strong beliefs, which, you know, I was pretty stubborn earlier, but awesome. I'm realizing that it's just kind of what you hear first and sounds believable is usually what people go with.
Cool. Yeah, it's funny. We had a conversation not too long about being humble, and you are humble. That's a very humble thing to say, that like to recognize that, you know, you might be wrong or don't know, or to have the amount of information.
Yeah. I mean, awesome. It's okay. Shoot. Okay, I should really think about something I deeply hold here.
Yeah, like you said, it can be politics, like you said, religion. It can be, really anything like that. You know, you're like, you know, this is true, and like it would change how you interact with the world if it was different, right? It could be, you know, the Earth is flat, the moon is made of cheese, like pixies are real, karma, you know, spiritual, God exists. See, I mean, we had somebody that was like something about ego. We had somebody talk about their ego.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sheesh, I might have to go to the quantum generator here.
You want to do the quantum? Yeah. Cool.
Down for it.
All right.
Cool.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to come up with a claim like on the spot.
Yeah. I mean, I think part of it is also joy. Okay, that's pretty sick.
Joy?
Yeah. Okay. I would say I'm pretty joyful. I think a big part of it is like, it's hard for me to hold something for too long that's true. I feel like things are constantly changing, and I really love change. I'm definitely addicted to change. That's the most fun part of life for sure.
Is change?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, novelty is really important, and if you're doing the same thing or hearing the same thing over and over, it's definitely disinteresting. I'm really not helping here because I can't think of anything.
You're good. No, the more we talk, it helps me to like figure out like what you believe, right? Because like it changes how we, like you said, you had said something about truth, right? Yeah. So like what is truth?
That's true. I mean, I'm a mechie, so you know whatever. I'm a mechanical engineer.
Oh yeah,
so,
mechie.
You know, I want to go straight to the numbers when possible.
Okay.
Whatever numbers are out there, but also studies are kind of terrible. Like almost, it's a high percentage of them that are kind of falsified. There's like a whole crisis going on with reproduction of studies. So that's even hard to hold true when you're reading different numbers.
So you would say that studies are not an accurate way to come to a conclusion?
Well, I mean, they should be the best way. That should be the best way to come to a conclusion. But I think that generally it's hard to gauge integrity of really any group. I would say that, there's probably the same percentage of scientists where, when their job is on the line to produce results, they're definitely incentivized to produce results whether or not they find them, which, makes it a little tricky to, there's incentive. I feel like there's incentives almost everywhere to hold something a little untrue. Oh, I'm such a fence sitter. This is terrible.
No, you're doing good. You had said about the studies, right? Like that they're like scientists are like they can't reproduce them, right? Right.
A big portion of them nowadays.
And you're saying that we can't really use studies as a reliable pathway to like understand things anymore. Would you say that? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
I mean, I think that there could be a need of reproduction or some kind of reform that goes into studies where they could become very reliable. But I think that studies should be the way that we could get the most accurate information possible, because numbers shouldn't be able to lie. Okay. So I really like studies. It's just recently I'm becoming disenchanted, Okay.
So what are some reasons that you would say that make you think that studies aren't reliable? I read like two things about it, and then now that's been my belief because it made sense. Where I heard about like the kind of scientific study reproduction crisis. Crisis might be a big word for it, but where scientists have been going to a lot of studies and just trying to reproduce them and then not getting great results. I can't remember the percentage. There was like a big one recently at Harvard where there was like a whole Harvard professor that, didn't turn out too well for them. If you were to find out that these two studies weren't accurate, would that change your belief that studies are unreliable?
Well, I mean, if I found out these studies are inaccurate, that's not helping either.
I realized the absurdity as I was asking that question. That's interesting, right?
Yeah, shoot. I think I chose. I think I chose. I think just generally, I'm very open to new information, which makes it hard to hold any belief strongly. Like I grew up religious, but I was definitely open to that not being a possibility too, which it kind of transitioned out of my life.
You're not religious anymore?
Yeah, not too much, but I see a lot of, I see a lot of benefit, or I see a lot of worth in religion. I think,
would you rather explore that over the study thing?
Yes.
Yeah?
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, okay, cool. Do you want to make a claim about that, or like something that you could God is real, like praying works?
Praying does work.
Praying works.
Praying works.
Praying does work. Okay,
yes.
I love it. All right.
Yeah, okay, that was a really good prompt. I appreciate that.
Do you know about behaviorism?
A little bit.
Oh, you just said prompt, and I'm like, okay, yeah.
Well, praying has been proven to have benefits. Like, there's this whole breathing thing that goes along with it. There's like an optimal breath that you're supposed to hold. It's like 5.5 seconds in and 5.5 seconds out. Usually you do it through your nose, but like praying, a lot of the cadences of like really common prayers are follow that like specific, the 5.5 seconds in and 5.5 seconds out. And then that kind of, that's the ideal kind of breath cadence that you would have for like a meditative state. So I think praying and mindfulness go hand in hand. Okay. So I think praying is just kind of a form of meditation, which has definitely been proven to have some pretty crazy good benefits for everybody. So even though I'm not too confident about the whole God thing, I think praying definitely has major benefits for anybody who does it.
When you say praying, what do you mean by praying?
Well, I think it means. That's a good question. I mean, there's a lot of. Sorry, I think
No, that's
by
okay.
talking, so then I just kind of ramble.
Do whatever you need to do. Like no judgment on my part. So.
But like, worship is definitely a type of prayer, and then that's usually where the cadence comes in, the 5.5 seconds in and 5.5 seconds out. But there's also individual prayer, like, and I think that's still another form of mindfulness. It's just being present with the situation you have, and then looking for guidance. Like, do you know about like coding, like rubber ducks? Like a lot of coding teachers will hand out rubber ducks to their students because, when you're stuck on code, then you're just supposed to talk it out with this rubber duck.
Oh, okay,
and then it usually gets you there. It's just because you're sitting with your thoughts and then you're, talking to something. I think it's something to do with creativity, or maybe it might just go back to mindfulness. But I think there's a lot of worth in knowing where you are and then giving yourself time to sit and think about exactly what it is. Whether it's like something that you want to improve on, or just something that you're struggling with at that moment. Getting to the accepting state is really important, and I think prayer is a really good facilitator for that.
Okay, so there was a lot there, so I'm going to kind of repeat back to you, and like if I'm misunderstanding or like what you're saying, like please let me know. So like prayer is like worship can be a type of prayer.
Yes.
There can be individual prayer, but prayer can be like talking out loud, or creativity, or like mindfulness, right? Okay. So what is different between, like, let's say talking out loud and praying?
Praying definitely involves a belief in a higher power and kind of going towards that, which I guess talking out loud might not necessarily be. But in terms of functional differences, they could be very similar.
Okay.
They could both be mindful, but talking out loud is a pretty wide range. Oh shoot, I'm not really answering this question.
You're doing a great job. I love it. You're exploring down into what it is, right? And that's what we want. So cool. So like you had said about it requires a higher power.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, to my understanding, there might be more out there on this, but I just definitely think that praying is heavily associated with some kind of religion, and I think it's mostly for like guidance and just talking to the higher power is what I usually think of when I think of prayer.
Okay.
Like you're praying to something.
So what separates like talking out loud, and I'm gonna use that for prayer, if that's okay.
Yeah.
All right. Talking out loud versus prayer is talking out loud is directed towards a higher power.
Yeah. I think prayer is something. Yeah, I think that's perfect.
Okay. All right. Cool. So prayer is talking out loud to a higher power. Or just it can be quiet. I'm assuming it can be quiet. It doesn't necessarily need to be out loud, right?
Yeah,
okay.
I agree with that.
Okay. Awesome. So when you say higher power, like what do you mean by a higher power?
I think in most religions that's usually like.
Well, what is higher power to you?
Well, that's kind of cool. I like that question. Because it's something else besides yourself that you hold above yourself, I guess, which doesn't necessarily have to be a god when it comes to higher power. I guess you could, like, kind of as an act of mindfulness, pray to anything you hold above yourself. It could, like, you could have, I don't know, if you think about maybe you're conscious, just you could kind of pretend you have that Jiminy Cricket on your shoulder and then pray to that. I guess it could be just praying towards kind of your moral center or something that you hold. Yeah, just something that you hold true and you see as above yourself.
So just the last part there, you had said that it can really be anything, but it needs to be true to be a higher power? Is that what I got? Did I misunderstand that?
I see. I don't think I fully know what I'm saying, so it's going to be hard for you to interpret.
No, that's fine.
I think it doesn't necessarily have to be true, but it has to be. I mean, I think I keep saying the same phrase over.
No, you haven't been repeating yourself. You're doing great.
It's just something you hold above yourself, which could. I think it could be like a deep form of respect for something.
Okay.
And I think I think you could, like, if there's somebody, I guess, in your life that you really respect, you could kind of talk to them in moments of need, whether or not they're there. Just kind of, I guess that's the "What would Jesus do" bracelet, you know. Just kind of use that as a guide. I guess it's using an example that you have in your mind as a guide.
Yeah, so I think what I hear you saying is that a higher power is like, it could be just a person that you look up to. I mean, it could just be something that reflect on, right? It could be maybe even like society. You could talk to society. I mean, not literally directly, but like out loud, right? Is that kind of what you're getting at? Would you say it would be like a higher power then?
I think you're right. I think the key thing in my view is that it has to be something that you deeply respect and something that you would believe that they, or whatever it is in this situation, would have a better idea of what to do than you would.
Okay, cool. So what is the biggest or most impactful reason that you believe that prayer works?
I think that mindfulness leads to acceptance, and then also I think it helps if you're looking for an actionable way forward. I think it is to start to get there. If you're struggling with something and you have to figure something out, I think that's a fantastic first step to figure out what path you have forward.
Okay. If you were to find out that like mindfulness and this acceptance wasn't true, would that change how you feel about prayer working?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, that would be surprising to me, but I guess that's, I hold it deeply. That's going to be, it should be surprising to me.
Yeah, is there any other reasons that would be more impactful than this mindfulness and accepting?
That's hard. I think I hold mindfulness in really high regard to myself, so that's I think that's almost, a core tenet is the wrong word, but that's just something, that could be a higher power than me, I guess, or something. Just something I have a lot of respect for. So I think that it's hard to get deeper than that, at least in my view.
Okay, cool. So when you say like mindfulness and acceptance is a reason for prayer being good, could you elaborate on like how mindfulness and acceptance like makes prayer work? Like how does that?
I could try.
Yeah. Maybe it would be easier if like it's like, what does it mean to be mindful and accept? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, mindfulness meditation is being very aware and present in a moment. And there are usually exercises to make sure that you're doing that. But I would say that most people, most of the time, are not present. I would say it's a smaller percentage. It's definitely less than half the time, which I'm just kind of saying out of nowhere. But where people are very aware of what situation they're in, or just aware of exactly what they're doing at that moment. There's a level of autopilot that we go on, and then. Okay, wait. What was the original question?
No,
I got
no,
lost
you're good.
already.
You got it. So if I like you, I was asking you about like what mindfulness is. You totally answered it, and it was like something about like being aware of your surroundings, right?
Yeah. And then
Like
not only your surroundings, but where you are as well. Like
you like emotionally too. Is that what
emotionally,
you mean?
physically. Just and then understanding where where you're at every level is especially helpful. Like for pain, if you are aware of the pain and then you just kind of accept it's there instead of kind of mentally fighting it, then that usually helps ease it a little bit, which is a practice in mindfulness as well.
Okay. So how would we be able to test whether or not prayer works? Or how do you determine that, like, or measure that prayer works?
That's tricky. Well, I would say that there are a lot of, there's definitely a lot of benefits to it that have been kind of tested. Like, there was this one monk where they measured his I think it was gamma waves that he emitted while he was meditating, which I'm using as synonymous with prayer at this point, the meditation.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then they use, and then he had I forgot what the gamma waves correlated to, but when he endured pain during that, then he would still be emitting the same amount. Well, I think the same amount of gamma waves as compared to a person who wasn't engaging in mindfulness while they were inflicted with pain. It kind of got them out of sorts. Okay, I just remembered the gamma waves and then I started talking about it, but I don't actually think that's the best example because I don't think I fully understand it. I think I was just excited that I knew that fact.
Okay. Cool.
So I'm gonna.
That's an interesting reflection. I really like that. I like the honesty around it too.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think a lot of stuff I only half know, but I think I know more. But I'm gonna restart that if that's
yeah, sure.
good.
If you want to restart on it.
Yeah. Do you remember what you said? I get lost in.
So I was asking you how we could test whether or not our prayer works, or if you'd rather, what does it mean for prayer to work?
I think, individually, I feel like it's easy to test. I think if you come away with peace after you've prayed, then it has been successful. I don't know what kind of numeric test you could do to prove to the masses it works. Gamma waves might be one, but couldn't really tell you.
Why is prayer important to you?
Because it's helping orient myself towards, it's leading me on the path closer to who I want to be. And then taking very intentional steps as I move forward, which I usually get from mindfulness and prayer has been so far the best way that I've been able to improve as who I am and feel good about where I'm going.
Is prayer, when you say prayer works, do you mean that it works just for you, or do you mean it works for everybody?
I think it generally works. I'm sure there could be exceptions where it hasn't, worked for some people, and if you pray for something to specifically happen, I don't think that will necessarily have an impact on that. But if you pray for your path and being aware of where you're going, I think it will definitely impact anybody who does it.
Okay. Let me think about that for a second. So, do you think other people, when they pray, they use it in the same way that you use the word prayer?
Probably not. I think there's a good range of acceptable definitions for it, and
Okay.
I think people probably fall under all types of categories. But if we I think most people would agree with the, kind of the higher power definition, trying to communicate and get guidance from higher power. I think that most people would agree with that one.
Okay. So is there a way that we could be mindful or pray without the need for a higher power to achieve what you had said? Like one thing that you get out of or shows that prayer works is that you get peace. Is there other methods that we could utilize to get to peace without a higher power, without prayer?
For sure. Like mindfulness meditation is, I would say, has the same effects as prayer. And then that doesn't really involve a higher power. It just involves kind of being very aware of yourself and checking in on where you are.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Could you be mistaken that prayer works?
Yeah, for sure. I
love that answer.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
I don't know anything right now, but just enough to think I know, at least.
How would you go about finding whether or not you were mistaken about prayer working?
Well, I mean, just do it, right? Like, you can't know about something from afar. You just kind of have to get in there and see whether or not it works. And so far for me, it's definitely led me on a closer path towards who I want it to be.
Okay. How would we, like, if I was to explain to somebody about prayer and the way they're using it, how would I be able to know, or how would they be able to know that they were praying?
Good question. I think it's just a strong and present internal dialogue that's going on, or external. But I think that's kind of the bar that you have to pass to be considered praying.
When you say like an internal dialogue, what do you mean by that?
Well, it could be like, asking for guidance from the higher power, or it could be, I mean, if it's about mindfulness and we're using that synonymously, it could be an internal dialogue with where you are, like just kind of scanning from head to toe what you're feeling. That might not be true for everybody, though. It's possible. I definitely think in words, and I know other people kind of think in either like more abstract thoughts. Like I know my brother is mostly visual kind of thing when he's thinking. So maybe dialogue is a tool that helps me think, but it doesn't necessarily have to be prayer for everybody else.
Okay. You had said there about prayer being true for some people and not for others. Is it possible that something can be true and false for two different people?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean,
how is it that something could be true for somebody and not for somebody else?
Well, I mean, there are some things that you could quantify, and that's definitely a proof of trueness, but I think different views and also just different attributes. Like, I mean, it's definitely true that my name is David, but it's not true for you that your name is David. I don't know if that's exactly what you were saying there. That
Sure.
just seemed like...
So we have this little container of Tic Tacs.
Cool.
This is kind of our example. So in here, there is Tic Tacs, right? I don't know how many are in here. I assume you don't know, right? There's even an even or odd number about here, right? And if there was two people and one person said, I believe, and it is true, that there's an even amount, and the other person said that it's an odd amount, and they both are saying that it's true.
Well, definitely somebody's wrong there.
Right, somebody can be wrong, yeah. Okay, so how would we be able to figure out whether or not, one of them was right or wrong?
Well, we could definitely count them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the same way that both of those people, it can't be true for both of them, how does that apply when we take it back to prayer being true for somebody and not for another?
Well, I mean, if you're praying to a higher power and you don't believe in a higher power, that will definitely be less true for you. But I don't know about, like, I'm a little confused about prayer being true or false. Like, I'm trying to envision what false prayer would be. Is it just disingenuous? I guess prayer could be disingenuous.
Yeah, so I guess kind of, and it's kind of my fault. I'm kind of associating like working and not working as being true and false, right?
Yeah.
So like,
Okay.
prayer works, true. Prayer not works, false.
Okay, gotcha.
Right. So, you know, in those two examples, right, or you would use that example about somebody that doesn't have a higher power, then it might be like less true. Right?
Yeah. I think you have to be genuinely present, and I think you have to, if you're praying to a higher power that you don't believe in, I think honesty towards yourself plays a role in your presence. I think that's part of mindfulness, being honest with yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. What did you think about the conversation?
Oh, that was cool. I'm definitely I just kind of talk until I reach a conclusion. So
No, it's
I'm glad
good,
you
man.
were able to, rein me in.
Yeah, no, you did a great job, man. You gave me your reasons and everything. You explained it through. So, do you have any questions for me about anything?
Oh, I want to know which channel this is on for sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So there's a QR code over there. He's Sound Epistemology.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it's going to go on his channel, and my channel I haven't created yet. So eventually it'll go on there. But you can look me up at Sushi Adventure Time.
Cool.
And that's my adventure YouTube channel. And then eventually I'll post this on whatever the heck the name of the channel is when I do name it. So
yeah, cool. I appreciate the conversation.
Awesome.
You know, you definitely had me thinking. I appreciate that.
Good, awesome, I love it.
Subscribe to my channel and you leave a comment on one of the videos or something, I'll give you the information for his channel whenever it